Be anxious for nothing. Hi, I'm Reverend Andrew Bozeman, and this is On the Wings of Your Mind. How many of our actions are based on fear? Fear of missing out, fear of being left behind, fear of not fitting in, fear of appearing weak, fear of failure, fear of success. You know, it doesn't have to be that way. Everything does not have to be based on some fear. I remember Beth Dutton in the TV series Yellowstone. One of her famous quotes was, I've only made 2 decisions based on fear, and in each one I lost everything. It doesn't have to be that way. Be anxious for nothing. Those are the words from Paul in the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 6. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your results, let your request be made known to God. Let your request be made known to God. Make your request be known to God. Last week I discussed the unseen forces that are there to help us, and I urged you to call upon them. Well, today I want to dig a little deeper into that same concept of the unseen forces that are here to help us. Last week I talked about prayer. Today I'm going to urge you to go deeper into your core, beyond the act of prayer, deeper into your spiritual self, to develop a consciousness of certainty, a consciousness of knowing that taps into the peace and power that you already know is there. I'm urging you to trust. Trust. Trust, according to the dictionary, means belief that someone or something is reliable, good, honest, effective, etc. The thing that jumps out at me in that definition is the word reliable. Reliable. Reliable and reliability is a knowingness that infinite intelligence is working, and it is working in your favor. Reliable. Please click on the thumbs up button, and if you haven't already done so, please choose to subscribe. Remember, I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments, questions. So please use the chat box on the right side of the screen or the comment section below the video. So, reliability. You know, this consciousness of knowing is a very critical one, because last week I made the point that prayer is not a shopping list. So that's why I'm focusing on the consciousness rather than specific acts of prayer. Letting your request be known to God is not an instruction to go through life as if it's a giant big box store. You know, I want this, and give me that, and I'll have a little bit of those. You know, we're not here to go shopping through our life. We're not here to fulfill our whims. We're here to grow into more powerful spiritual beings. Of course, we can cater to our whims if we choose to do so. We're not prevented from doing that. We can indulge ourselves by fulfilling every little desire that pops up in our heads. We're not blocked from doing that. After all, we are individualized expressions of infinite intelligence. So we do have the power to do that. We do have the power to fulfill our desires. We do have the power to use the world as a big shopping cart. We have that power. But, why? You know, infinite intelligence won't stop us from doing it. It won't stop us from doing it because we have this power. It won't stop us from doing it because if we were stopped, if we were prevented from doing it, we would only want to do it more. So having being individualized expressions of infinite intelligence with this power, this creative power of infinite intelligence, we are not preventing from doing whatever it is we want to do. We are not prevented. We can do it. But you can read story after story. You can view story after story of people who have done it. People who have lived a life indulging in their whims. People who have lived a life indulging in their transient desires. People who have literally and figuratively drunk the wine of life to their fill and ended up being burned out, miserable, because their life ends up being empty, shallow, lonely, and without meaning. We also have the power to go in the other direction, a less single-minded direction. You know, as I told you last week, in support of the power of prayer, there were experiments that showed us that using this specific prayer, specifically directed prayer, in seeking a specific outcome can be successful. But I cited an experiment where there were three groups. One group prayed specifically for a garden to grow, for plants to grow bigger with greater output, and more attractive plants. The second group was there, and they prayed for their garden to be more at peace, more loving, more harmonious, more peaceful, more beautiful. And then there was a third group that didn't pray for anything, nothing at all. And what happened was, the group that prayed specifically for bigger plants, for more output, got it. They did get what they prayed for. They got more there than the group that didn't pray for anything. But the group that prayed for overall peace of the garden, for overall beauty and harmony and higher good of the garden, were even more successful than the people who prayed specifically for the plants to grow bigger and with greater output. So why is that? Excuse me. Why is that? Because human beings are very narrow vision. We don't have the capability of seeing the whole big picture. We have no idea what's even involved in the whole big picture that makes things happen. And so, because we're not capable of seeing the whole big picture, when we focus on one thing, we leave out so much else. So by focusing on this outcome for bigger, more beautiful plants, what they ended up doing was leaving out the health of the soil. So the bigger, better plants drained the soil. They left out the well-being of all the other living creatures within that ecosystem, and so they ended up suffering because the soil was being drained of nutrients. Whereas the people who prayed for general well-being of the garden, for peace and beauty and harmony, well, everything was in balance. And because the plants were giving back to the soil was giving to the plants. Because the plants were giving back to the creatures who were also living in the garden with them, the creatures who were living in the garden went about doing their work to make the soil richer and prepare or provide greater nutrients for the plant. So the plants not only benefited, but the soil benefited and the ecosystem benefited by that prayer, that generalized prayer, leaving it up to infinite intelligence to take care of all the things that needed to be taken care of that we have no idea exists. You know, another example of that was the Great Chinese Famine, I think it was 1945, where 40 million people starved to death. Why did they starve to death? Because Mao had called upon them to get greater output from the fields. He called upon them to kill the sparrows, because the sparrows were eating some of the grain, lots of grain, and so if they killed off all the sparrows, then they would have greater grain. So they killed off all the sparrows. They killed the baby sparrows. They broke eggs. They stormed the fields and scared the sparrows away. Whatever it took to get rid of the sparrows, and they were successful in getting rid of the sparrows. And then what happened? The bugs, the insects that the sparrows were also eating, grew unabated, and they ate up all the crops. Our narrow vision, we don't know what's going on. And so adopting a consciousness of peace and harmony, a consciousness of knowing that infinite intelligence is there, and a confidence of knowing that infinite intelligence is there, gives us that need to cease, or that ability to cease being anxious for anything. I mean, we can pray for that big promotion and focus only on that big promotion. But when we get that big promotion, what do we got around us? We got a bunch of jealous, mistreated, or angry, or resentful employees who don't want to cooperate with us as managers. On the other hand, we can pray for well-being, harmony, and peace, situations that work for our highest and best good. Turn it over to God, turn it over to infinite intelligence, our highest and best good. Everything around us is in peace and harmony. And what happens when we get promoted, because we will be promoted, when we get promoted, we come into an environment where everybody feels recognized, everybody feels ready to work for the good of the organization, for the good of the group. The difference of approach is subtle, but the outcome can be dramatically different. Remember, we spiritual beings having a human experience. We are energetic beings, and we can choose to see ourselves as separate entities in a mass of other separate entities, and in doing so, our connection to infinite intelligence is not cut off, but our connection will be a single frequency connection based upon our own narrow view. We won't be cut off, but there's not much there. Whereas, if we see ourselves spiritual, energetic beings in a sea, an ocean of other beings who are interconnected and open to each other, then our connection to infinite intelligence becomes a symphony of frequencies that complement and enhance and amplify each other and feed the whole system and elevate it to higher and higher and higher levels. Be anxious for nothing. Build within yourself a knowingness, a consciousness of knowingness in infinite intelligence. Notice, I didn't say belief. I didn't say consciousness of belief, because belief is a step down from knowing. Belief has within it a bit of doubt. Belief is based upon not knowing for sure, but going along strongly with the possibility that it's true. Knowing for sure, not knowing for sure totally, but going along with the possibility that it is true. No. Knowing, a consciousness of knowing is knowing without a doubt, knowing with certainty that it is real, because proof has been given, proof has been found. Consciousness, that consciousness of knowing, comes through discipline, like the discipline of praying or meditating or doing some spiritual practice every day that will put your mind in connection with your deeper self. Because connecting with your deeper self brings belief and eventually knowledge, because your deeper self is infinite intelligence. And being there connected with infinite intelligence every day and being aware of its presence all the time, influence life, all the time, takes you beyond belief into a state of unshakable certainty. Unshakable certainty. Be anxious for nothing. You know, one of the pathways that I've taken on my journey to building a consciousness of unshakable knowingness is in the existence and continued presence of infinite intelligence, is an affirmation that I have repeated for many, many years from the book called Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. Now, the Science of Mind book is the basic text for the Church of Religious Science. And I have found this affirmation within that book to be very powerful for me in my building that consciousness of knowingness. And it goes like this. I am a center in the divine mind, a point of God-conscious life, truth, and action. My affairs are divinely guided and guarded into right action, into correct results. Everything I do, say, or think is stimulated by the truth. There is power in this word that I speak, because it is of the truth, and it is the truth. There is perfect and continuous right action in my life and my affairs. All belief in wrong action is dispelled and made negative. Right action alone has power, and right action is power, and power is God, the living Spirit Almighty. This Spirit animates everything that I do, say, or think. Ideas come to me daily, and these ideas are divine ideas. They direct me and sustain me without effort. I am continuously directed. I am compelled to do the right thing at the right time, to say the right word at the right time, to follow the right course at all times. All suggestion of age, poverty, limitation, or unhappiness is uprooted from my mind and cannot gain entry to my thought. I am happy, well, and filled with perfect life. I live in the Spirit of truth, and am conscious that the Spirit of truth lives in me. My word is the law unto its own manifestation, and will bring to me or cause me to be brought to its fulfillment. There is no unbelief, no doubt, no uncertainty. I know, and I know that I know. Let every thought of doubt vanish from my mind, that I may know the truth, and the truth may make me free. Yes, it is long, but for me, through much repetition over the years, it has become short. The point of my sharing it with you is to let you know that there is a state of mind that is possible where you can enter a consciousness of knowing, and in that consciousness you can be anxious for nothing. Anxious for nothing. Let's close with prayer. Thank you, Infinite Intelligence, for bringing all of us together in this life so that we may become spiritual warriors and join in the work we have come here to do. Thank you, Infinite Intelligence, for bringing us into this space of awareness and a deeper understanding of ourselves and our relationship to life and infinite intelligence. Thank you for showing us who we really are. We open our minds and hearts to the truth of our being. We are the children of God. We are individualized expressions of infinite intelligence. And because we are part of the greater whole, we're beginning to understand our value to the continuity of life on this planet. As we become channels of your power, infinite intelligence, we can feel your presence within ourselves and within our lives more and more. We know that as we feel your presence within our lives every day, we will rise, because we are no longer cut off from you by being immersed in the darkness of fear, anger, and the pain of unforgiveness. So we are now restoring our connection through the grace of forgiveness knowing that as we learn to forgive ourselves for the pain we have caused to ourselves, and as we learn to forgive those who have inflicted pain upon us, our connections will grow stronger, and our lives will grow happier and healthier and more prosperous. And for this we are truly grateful. As above, so below. As within, so without. And so it is. Amen. Thank you for watching. Enjoyed spending some time with you. And I strongly encourage you to build up your consciousness to a state of knowingness rather than just belief. Knowingness. Please click on the thumbs up button, and if you haven't already done so, please choose to subscribe. In the meantime, I look forward to seeing you again. My name is Reverend Andrew Bozeman, and this has been On the Wings of Your Mind.